Mark is slammed on the mix spot we just gave him to work on, and turns out we have a second version of the spot with a different music track, talent, and design elements. We need you to do all of the comping on this one, and feel free to add your own twist to it. The client is totally up for a different interpretation of how the elements work within the scene. Or you can just copy what Mark's doing. That works too. Good luck.
So this is one of those weeks where your work is going to be very similar to mine. Now we're getting into the boss monster, the big project. But the work that you're doing is the same setup that you saw me do in the lesson. It's really exactly the same, only you're working on a different take with different talent. The elements that you're going to end up compositing in are going to be on a different theme. Now, that's just enough of a variation that you are going to have to do your own work rather than just copying what I did. But the steps have been laid out for you, and a lot of it is technical work. I love situations like this when I'm getting into a project that's going to be more complicated, because it allows me to think about what else I want to do with the shot and the sequence, but really, and especially in this case, the last shot, as I'm setting up for it. Let's take a look.
Just as I did, you're going to be starting with a Premiere Pro edit, which we'll take a look at now.
The usual, sir.
Please.
Mix AI, like a butler for your ears.
Now, of all of the lesson and exercise pairings we've had, this one, in many ways, seems to be almost identical. We have really the exact same shot setup. I think the shot durations are really similar. Little things like the angle of the device are different, but even the little sequence here with the flip down, where I did my so-called kiss of love. And remember that for the first round, you're preparing kind of this straightforward stuff for when you're going to get more outside the box and creative with it. So you could, like I did, start with this shot. It looks to me like it's a very similar situation, and I encourage you to go back and just take another look at the lesson for how that one was pulled off. And then in here, again, really similar, but not the exact same shot. So it doesn't really look like you need to deal with that third finger at all. And yeah, I haven't tried these shots, but to me, it looks like you've got the skills to pay the bills on this one. And if you don't have enough to do, one thing you could add on, which we're going to get onto later, is just starting to kind of dirty in the graphics that come with this. The theme is a little different. Let's take a look. So just as I did, in addition to the edit with MP4 video, you are going to get elements that are specific to your scene to work with. And you're dealing with a hip-hop theme, so those are really fun. And you got some 3D elements in here. Again, a paint stroke, as I did. Let's just take a look at this file. So your paint stroke, very similar and yet different. And remember, there are those paint swatches that you can use to customize this. And your elements are these awesome arrows. I love it. You again are dealing with a UI, with a cover for an album, and same logo. So things are going to be relatively straightforward. And if you want to start exploring where you're going to go next, you can do that as well. But I think you'll be pretty busy just getting these elements integrated. It's a funny thing about visual effects. Each shot is completely unique from any other shot, and yet the skills that you're learning in this course apply to the vast majority of them. So in this exercise, if you've done your work in the course laying out the fundamentals, you get the chance to reap those benefits at a very much professional level.
There's a couple new variations. This tricky workaround for not having to go out and get a third-party camera track for the scene is kind of a new wrinkle. But if you get lost on that, go back to the lesson and just look carefully at the steps. Be prepared with your roto and tracking skills, and start looking at the elements, maybe block them in, and think about how it's all going to come together.